All right, Mr. David, looks like we're live.
All right. Well, welcome Bee City to the March 17th, 2021 meeting of the Bee City Committee here in Apex, North Carolina. I will go ahead and start the meeting. It's 6:03 p.m. and just welcome you guys. Thanks for joining us virtually, and for those that are watching on the town's YouTube channel and the public, we love it. Love that you're interested in what we're doing here for Apex, and love to have you keep coming back. And these meetings in the future, we'll have our B City Committee member meeting, but then we would like to do for the second part of those meetings is kind of have educational events in the future that will give tips to beekeepers out there or gardeners, or you want to put a pollinator garden, and we'll have different kind of guest speakers to kind of make it a fun and educational meeting, as well as the business of Apex as well at the same time. But welcome everybody tonight. So we're going to start with the old business and kind of an update on where we are with our pollinator garden that's at the Nature Park, right there next to the soccer fields and to the operations center. So we haven't had a lot of change since last month, where Kendall and her crew there in the operations department are still working on the site prep. I believe early next week, and Kendall, you can jump in here in a little bit, but kind of remove the existing mulch that's out there, because we're going to go ahead and add some topsoil to kind of level out some areas and make it nice and even and drains properly. So that will happen either Monday or Tuesday. And then either Wednesday or Thursday, Kendall and I are going to meet on site, and we're going to kind of start that design process, start laying out the different kinds of plants and where they might be, and lay out and kind of mark the path there. So I would love to have any members that want to come join us out there for that. I'll let you know when we have that firm date, Wednesday or Thursday on, and hopefully we'll pick a sunny day and nice temperatures. So, and then we'll kind of just begin that design and layout process of what the garden will be. And this is going to be, the first plantings here in April, May. This is just like phase one of the garden. It's not going to be like boom, 1,000 plants everywhere, and it's going to be a multi-year, phases. We'll do some, come back in the summer and plant maybe in the fall for things that do better in the fall. So it's going to be a process, and not going to be an instant. It's not going to look like the Debbie Roos's garden at Chatham Mills in day one, but we'll get there. So, but it's a start, and this will be an educational kind of a demonstration garden. Like we mentioned earlier last meeting, is a similar size to people's backyards in Apex. So we want to kind of show what homeowners could do and businesses could do on their properties. And that's so, educational signs and brochures will be a big part of what we're doing out there. And we'll have different events, throughout the year along the garden. And that's just step one. If you walk around Apex, the town manages many pieces of land, whether it's on the town campuses or our parks, our greenways, our right-of-ways, our easements, these little teeny pocket parking lot kind of parcels. So there's many things the town can do to start, converting some of these areas that we already manage into more native and pollinator type plants. So this is just kind of the beginning. It won't be the last thing we do for sure, but it'll be a great piece to get this going. So Kendall, you want to give us any updates of what you're working on right now out there?
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's about where we're at. It's been so wet, so it's been hard to get out there, and that area sits kind of low. It's in a floodplain. The whole park is. But like you said, we're going to backfill in with some dirt next week and fix some of the drainage issues. That's the next step. We'll see where from there, but that's the plan.
And I have been in contact with Kerr Nursery in Pittsboro and Mellow Marsh out in Siler City. And you go to their websites, and they show you what's available for this spring planting, and prices. So we have that information. that'll help guide what we put in, because we can, if we can't get it, it's no sense in saying this is what we want right now. At least we got to put in plants that we can get our hands on right now. And there's a couple other resources, and I know Caitlin shared at the last meeting that you're working on even your own kind of personal Excel spreadsheet that kind of talks about different plantings and how different heights they might have and when they bloom, the colors, stuff like that, because all that will go into design. But I did find the Missouri Botanical Gardens has a really kind of cool little web page and design pieces where you can kind of search plant names, and it'll tell you kind of all those different characteristics, what kind of soil types it likes, how big is it going to be, the size, the color, the blooming type of year. Is it beneficial to butterflies, monarchs, or hummingbirds, etc. So that was pretty cool. So there's some resources out there, and you guys might know of others that will help as we start to get on site next week and start really doing that layout and planning phase and design phase of the garden. So if you have any ideas, just shoot it to me in an email. I'll try to bring some resources out that'll help us, Kendall and myself, and whoever can join us next week, that'll kind of aid us when we start doing that. So any comments from you guys on that, or anybody think would like to be able to join us on site next week? I know you all have day jobs, but
I mean, depending on the time, I would love to be able to join. And I did notice too that like NC State's extension program has some information on pollinator gardens as well that might be useful, because that would no doubt address some of the native plants and plants that would work well in the soils and everything around here that we may want to look into.
Great. Yeah, I've looked for, like, on the Wake County, a person that's similar to Debbie Ruse for Chatham County, because Debbie, she can help us a little bit, but we're not her county, so that's not her job so much as she's Chatham based. So if anybody knows of an agricultural extension agent that's kind of does what Debbie does in Chatham, that we can kind of tie in and help us with our, let me know. But so far I haven't found, and it's probably hard to find anybody like Debbie Ruse, but that's okay. But anyway, yeah, that's a good though. So I'll look at that Wake County extension site and see if there's some NC State, to see if there's some resources that can help us with that design next week. But is any time of day better than other? Now that we got a little bit more daylight in the evening, would it be better kind of later in the day or midday? For anybody?
Yeah, I mean, either lunchtime or after 4 works probably better for me. I would like to attend next week if I can, but.
Okay. Heidi, Jennifer?
Same for me. Yeah. I mean, it's typically lunchtime is kind of like this, but definitely after 4, I have a lot more flexibility.
Okay.
I can be flexible. Just let me know what you pick, and I will do my best to revolve around you.
Kendall, I know you normally don't work that late, but that's okay. We can do a little comp time for you there. But is 4 p.m. Would a 4 p.m. work for you, like Wednesday or Thursday? Is that any day better?
Whatever works for me. I'm there till 4:30 at the earliest, and I can stay however late or whatever day works for my schedule.
Very good. I figured so much, but just didn't want to make you do that, of course. But great. So then let's shoot for Wednesday, 4 p.m. out at the nature park next week, and I don't expect we'll spend more than like just an hour. Just out there, kind of, we'll do some markings. We'll look at some of the tools we have, and just so you guys can kind of get a little hands-on and see what the size and scope of this site is a little bit more, and then we'll put some pen and paper together and names, and we'll get it rolling here. Okay, wonderful. Well, that's all I have for the update for the an old business for the pollinator demonstration garden, and we can move on to new business. And first thing on new business is the Bee City USA renewal. That's an annual. So we did the initial application, but it is an annual renewal. So we have done that. We have paid our dues. We've done our little annual report, and we are good for 2021 now as a Bee City USA here in Apex. So check that box. Good job, everybody. So well, that is that. And any questions on the B-City USA that through the Xerxes Society? Pretty straightforward, but that's kind of why we got started and formed this committee to begin with. Is Apex wanted to become a B-City. So, and this one of the requirements is to have a citizen committee such as yourself. So, but we're doing much more than just B-City information. So, we took on the Monarch Pledge. We're doing now that we're doing Pollinator Gardens, and hopefully we can start getting involved with some policy kind of influence for the town, maybe some best management practices, looking at integrated pest management. The town, I know that's all up sustainability's alley, and why don't we switch to sustainability for an update to see what's going on there. We have Megan with us tonight from sustainability. Well, we did. You still there, Megan? She was there a moment ago. But anyway, she comes back. We'll come back up to her and we'll get an update of what sustainability is doing. But they are doing a lot of cool initiatives and working. And there she is. Megan, can you hear me?
Hey, sorry about that. It just cut out and I had to rejoin. Right on cue, right?
Yeah, right on cue. So we're just switching to you and just kind of getting an update of what's going on in your department and how we can, help meet your goals and initiatives that you're working on.
Absolutely, and vice versa. I'm not sure if I've met all of you. I think I've met most of you, but hello, I'm Megan. I am the sustainability coordinator, and I believe that you met the wonderful Valeria last month at your last meeting, and she gave you a good summary of what we're working on, the main highlights. And so to build off of her, I think she mentioned that we applied for the Volkswagen Level 2 charging program grant, and we were awarded that grant. So that's very exciting. We're going to add 4 EV chargers at our Public Works facility and 2 at our new electric utilities facility. In addition, we applied. We're a part of this program called Ickley. It's a really weird acronym, but it's basically local governments for sustainability. And they provide a lot of resources to us, including a tool to create our greenhouse gas inventory, which we're working on, which Val mentioned. Now there's this side cohort that Ickley does that you can apply for. Only 18 communities in the entire US can join the cohort. It's 18 months long, and it's really valuable in many respects, including giving us support to create a climate vulnerability assessment. So we were accepted into this program, another really exciting win, and we get started next week with that cohort, 18 months long, and I think it'll be really valuable to us in building our not only our greenhouse gas inventory, but our entire sustainability action plan, what we're calling the Apex Sustainability Action Plan, or ASAP. So we're working on an initiatives report right now and finalizing that up, which is sort of a stepping stone into that plan. One more thing I wanted to update you on is we have brought on a litter sweep event that we will lead for Think Apex Day. I think it'll be one of 5 events, which is on April 24th. 2 days after Earth Day. So we are bringing it into our Earth Day events, primarily going to be more education this year. We really envision like a big week-long event and hopefully have some B-City representation there one year. But for this year, it's going to be more of a virtual event. If you have any ideas or any ways that you want to promote Earth Day and through the pollinators lens, totally open to that, really excited to get your ideas, and that is what we're working on.
Awesome. Well, great. Yeah. Well, I think Apex Days and Earth Day and all that in April timeframe is almost the perfect time that we'll start, putting these plants in the ground in the pollinator garden. We could definitely make that, with, a public event where we have some people out there and sign up for, we have to obviously manage the amount of people and such, but that'd be great to kind of make that one of a public work day to kind of get down in the soil and start doing some planting and education at the same time. So, I said, I know you want to said virtual, but if there's any hands-on opportunity for Think Apex Day, that'd be a great addition, I would think.
Well, Think Apex Day definitely is more hands-on. Like the litter sweep, we'll have people out there in the streets picking up litter and recycling. But I love that idea. I think that we should definitely talk about that and plan some sort of, whether it be part of Think Apex Day or just part of Earth Day, and have that pollinator garden sort of like cut the ribbon opening. That's great.
Wonderful. Great. And I know, Kendall, to swing back to you from last meeting, I know you work a lot in parks with the AdoptAPark program with different community groups, scout groups, plant exchange you mentioned. So there's those opportunities as well to kind of work with some of the groups that I know are already helping out in the parks currently. So yeah, that's what I think will, sometime in April when we start the planting, I do want to have the public involved with this as well, not just ourselves doing it, for sure. Kendall, anything to add on that with the groups you've been in contact with?
Yeah, we have people reaching out fairly commonly, looking for things to do, wanting to get involved. So we put them kind of on a spreadsheet and list, and we're going to reach out when we have events for them to do and they're ready. So it'll be a good opportunity. Emily Shoemaker is leading the AdoptAPark program, which we started earlier in 2020, and I've had a lot of volunteer opportunities. So this will funnel in more. So that should be really good. Yep.
Any other questions for Megan about their efforts? I do have one follow-up, because I know this is a big interest to this group, and just, to see if there's any changes about the Simple Gifts Community Garden, if there's any news about what's happening there, and any thoughts of what the town can do. I know it's private property, so there's not much we can do at the moment, perhaps, but I know that's an interest of community gardens as a whole for the town. It's an interest, and that particularly kind of keeping that land use as a garden would be awesome. I don't know if you have anything to share on that front.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I really want to see this land and the garden preserved. And, as of now, we've discovered 2 grants that are potential, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and then through the Natural Heritage Foundation. So those are 2 opportunities that we've found. We've spoken to quite a few experts, and I'm not confident that we're going to find anything else, but not losing hope. I think that we can really, our biggest point of sale here is by putting this through a parks lens and creating a park out of this land, and then also having the garden. So we'll see. I haven't heard anything yet from leadership on how they want to move forward, but I'll certainly keep you all updated. And we'll keep searching too.
Good. Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us and giving that update. That's all good news there. So I know you're got a lot started, and this is just your first half a year doing things here. So you're making great strides there in the departments, and it really ties into all these different citizen committees like the Tree City and the Bee City and the Environmental Advisory Board. We're all, like I said, we're kind of all working on similar goals, basically, and they all sort of really kind of fall nicely under your program there. So thanks for being part of us and letting us know what's going on. So moving on to our next item under new business, that is the Neighborhood Yard Recognition Program. And I know Caitlin and Jennifer have been worked hard on the last 30 days because they put some information in our OneDrive folder, and there's a lot of good stuff there about some recognition of yards, communities as a whole, even businesses. So if one of you wants to share what progress you've made and some ideas, go for it.
So Jennifer and I, when we put our brains together, we came up with really, really big ideas. And so Jennifer had started putting together a nice presentation for us to use, but I just wasn't able to help her finish that. But I do have a draft checklist that is in that folder. I can pull it up right now if I can share my screen to give everybody kind of an idea of what we're looking at. I think there'll be a lot of elements that kind of tie into this neighborhood certification program. But when Jennifer and I first thought of it, we thought there would be 3 levels so that residents in their homes could partake in this type of, I guess, like certification program where they get, like we had talked about before, I think like a plaque or a sign for their yard. But we wanted to bring it beyond our individual residents. So we also thought it would be a good idea to have a program for our neighborhoods. If our neighborhoods wanted to improve pollinator habitats within their community and their neighborhood, and then also a corporate part of it as well. And so let me pull the checklist up and see. Again, I'm sure we're not going to be able to review it line by line tonight, but just to kind of give everybody an idea of what it looks like. I have a lot of screens open on my computer.
Does everybody have access to the OneDrive? Have everybody been able to go in there and I think that's a good resource, be able to share kind of these kind of projects we're working on. So good.
Okay, so if everybody can see it, this is the kind of a checklist that we had developed and broken it out. So we thought there could be different levels, a bronze level almost being like an entry level. And I kind of went back and forth a little bit with the bronze level being like somebody who doesn't really know anything but wants to learn more, but they're kind of pledging that they're going to learn more and do little things to increase the habitat at their house or in their community or at their business site. So I don't know if we want that to be more of like a pledge kind of a thing or just a lower level. What I'm thinking of as a certification, and then a silver level and a gold level. And then what we'd be looking for folks to do is one, provide food for our pollinators. So including blooming flowers that provide nectar and host plants for butterflies, and the use of native plants in their landscape. Obviously not all of it will have to be native. The second being to provide water, there are numerous different sources of doing that. The third being to provide shelter. So different things you can do for providing shelter for native bees. We could expand that to include folks who do have honeybees as well. And then the fourth, to safeguard the habitat. So reducing and removing invasive plants. And then the second of that, minimizing pesticide use. This should help us, kind of tie into both Bee City, but also our Monarch Pledge. And as part of this also, I think it will allow us to communicate more with our community about, things that they can do for our pollinators. For gold level, also, we felt there was an additional kind of level. So we had broken it out that folks needed to choose a couple options here. So residential, neighborhood, or corporate, of different things that they could do. And some of these would be to help us create more of that communication around the community. So this is just the draft, but please go into the OneDrive and add your comments. We would love to get your feedback. There's also just a little bit down here where it asks some really brief questions. And then I had just kind of filled out a few things here, just some resources that I had used while I was creating this, and resources I feel like we could perhaps provide to the community, maybe at our local libraries, where we could have something kind of set aside as part of this program. But so right now, that's kind of where we're at. And then we still need to work on a little bit more about this, but we were hoping perhaps we could initiate something for Pollinator Week, where we maybe get some folks that are interested in trying to do this at their homes or in their neighborhoods. So I will.
This is really great, you guys. I mean, I think this is a really great framework. And I love that you have the neighborhoods too, because I feel like there are a lot of active neighborhoods in Apex. And so many have clubhouses where they can even host events to, you know, maybe someone can go in and show them, like, here's a standard layout you can use for a pollinator garden. Or even like, here's how to construct a bee hotel, you know, something like that. So I just think it's really well thought out and can be really useful.
Also, I think the neighborhoods, so many of them have common land and easements where the town not necessarily in control of it, but they may be able to add some more pollinator gardens and friendly habitats there. So making that a distinct group, I think, helps encourage them to do that.
Yeah, you're right. And there's also landscape committees in so many of these neighborhood associations. So it's like this natural fit. Yeah, I think it's great.
I think they're also competitive. I'm not sure how your HOA is, but I know we're always interested in what somebody else is doing. So I think, you know, a little friendly neighborhood HOA competition is good. It's good for the bees.
And a nice plaque, you know, right at the center when you drive into a neighborhood would be, I think, pretty impressive. So
a little bragging rights for
sure. Pollinator friendly development. Yeah. And a lot of them have the stormwater areas you're talking about that are kind of public, and you could really, you know, a lot of them just kind of look like just grasses and water, but you could definitely put pollinator plants in there. So I think this is really good work, guys. So this is really nice, and it's a good start, and we'll build upon this. Like you said, go into the OneDrive, add comments, but love it. So, and I'm sure Megan, it's right up her what they're trying to do in the sustainability department. So it's a good project we can collaborate on together, and we'll have a web presence. I know Megan's looking to have a sustainability webpage. So pieces like this and this program, this competition, this recognition, we can do little signages like we showed you last month. You can put this in your yard. We can have like gold. So it's not showing up. But
there you go.
Little pollinator habitat. Got to put it in front of me. I don't know. It's not working. But anyway, put a little sign in their yard with the gold, bronze, silver kind of underneath it or something like that. We can design our own little plaque of how we want to do that. And I think it's going to be our great program for sure.
I also think with the having those plaques will be helpful, particularly in like the neighborhood on association land, and also in like the corporate world for anyone who has a landscape company. So if you have that sign, it's kind of like designating it for any of the landscape companies that come in to know to treat that area a little differently, you know, so they may not use certain pesticides in that area, and also may not be mowing everything down at certain times of the year. So that I think that signage will actually be really a nice indicator too for those types of folks.
Definitely. You know, it's not just a weedy area. People see that and it's like it's unkept and think, but this is pollinator home, it's habitat, it's food source, and it may not look like an English garden sometimes. So, but here's why, and why is it important? So that's, you know, the educational piece is a big part of it. And, you know, working with homeowners associations maybe to relax some rules that they might have for yards that are, not mowed to the pristine level that they want or something like that. And maybe and some of that is a big educational piece of what we would like to do as well. So good work.
And I think then from the corporate side of it, if we can give local businesses, a little bit of a like, hey, give them some, either on the website or something, list them as folks who are certified pollinator, that have a pollinator habitat at their business site. That would help them, and then it would also help us for customers that are visiting their location. So yeah.
We have considered in the future, to the corporate point, adding a sticker recognition system for sustainability initiatives, right, that companies abide by. And so I can see us adding a sticker for the pollinator badge, or giving them some sort of virtual badge to put on their website or social media. So I really love this idea.
I love that idea.
For sure. And we can get the chamber involved, I would think, too. And, they can help us push that to the businesses throughout Apex. Definitely. Wonderful work. Any other comments on that? And we'll put this back on the agenda for our next meeting. So we'll kind of keep updating this. As it's a project that'll be ongoing, and it takes some time to get it where we want 100%. But great start for sure. And it kind of ties into the last item under new business. That's the Pollinator Week event. I know Kate, you kind of mentioned this would be kind of a good, kind of put our efforts and energy kind of on this program, make that really part of our Pollinator virtual event, and get kind of a soft kickoff of this program and how it can work. So I think that's really what we could just tie the two together. And kind of maybe by June, Pollinator Week is June 21st through the 27th, or maybe if we can have a initial rollout of this program, that would be great. So a good goal to have in mind. So what do you guys think? Does that sound reasonable?
I think it's a perfect goal. I think certainly it seems like enough time, and it'll give a little hoorah to our Pollinator Week.
Good. Okay, well, that's what we'll do. We'll shoot for sure.
Is there like a organizing, like, is there someone in town who helps to lead like the event planning for that, in terms of like having tables out at this site? Because what I was wondering is, for that, if you can roll this initiative out there, and then maybe have a couple of demonstrations, if we can get some speakers in to talk about how to, implement this in your neighborhood or your business, or, and then also here's how to build a garden, but also here's like a bee hotel. If you want to put that out in your yard, it might be nice to have demonstrations. So I was just wondering if there's someone who, like an event committee, and then how we can support that.
Well, I mean, I'm certain. Obviously, that's part of my role as staff liaison to work on those things, and I do event planning a lot, so that's not a problem. We don't have Peak Fest this year, which would be the first Saturday in May. It's going to be pushed to September 11th. At festivals like that, I envision the Bee City will have a booth, do educational pieces about what's going on. I'm sure Megan will, have a booth out there too about sustainability program and what they're doing. So that will be where we have our biggest audience at an event like that. But, we mentioned the farmers market last, that starts back up next month on Saturdays. So we could pick that Pollinator Week or the weeks leading up to that, and have a booth out there and talk about these programs with the people that are coming out to the farmers market, and have a few native plants out there, just for kind of demonstration purposes, and just talk and start engaging with the public at an event like that. And then we'll create our own. I know we talked a little bit about that at the last meeting, at Pollinator Week, but maybe it's, maybe a little too soon with COVID to kind of really kind of think of it a large scale event, or even a medium sized event where we have a lot of demonstrations going on. So maybe for this first Pollinator, we could kind of piggyback on, using the farmers market
I like that
in
idea.
this virtual event. And then maybe 2022 on Pollinator Week, we do have kind of a big kind of splash event that's just our event where the public comes out, and we have, like what you're talking about, speakers and demonstrations and a variety of games for kids, and all kind of tying around pollinators and bees and sustainability in general. We can make a sustainability fair. I mean, we can partner with Megan, we can make this big. So around, so.
Did I hear you say that Peak Fest is September 11th?
It is September 11th this
Okay.
year. They just Festival Commission met yesterday actually and said it's going to be a go. It's going to be a scaled down version, and not, we usually have around 200 vendors, arts and crafts and foods, probably about 100, so half and kind of more spread out. But it's going to be a go as long as everything is heading in the right direction at the same time. But yeah, so that's exciting. We're starting to see
Very
some
exciting.
kinds of things like that come back. And this summer at the nature park, we're going to have concerts, we're going to have movies. So we can use that kind of stage to do some announcements or have a booth out there at those kinds of events this summer. I'll be there, so I can tie in a booth there as well, kind of showing what we're doing. Or we could have a movie that kind of, for kids, we do a lot of kids movies and stuff like that, or family movies. If there's something that's a pollinator type of movie. I know the bee movie was I saw that a while ago, but if there's anything else, we could do an educational movie. It's just maybe it's not just for kids, it's for more family, or about bees. I know there's some really good ones out there that I've seen on streaming services, so think about that. We could have our own little movie night for the Bee
I've
City.
seen, looking over the Bee Cities, affiliate cities, somebody hosted the Flight of the Monarch.
Okay.
So we have access if we wanted to do something like that at the
We
nature park. That would be
certainly
super
do.
fun.
Certainly do. Yeah. All right. I'll make note of that. We can plan that sometime this summer for sure. Yeah. That'd be great.
That would
Yeah,
be great.
and
And don't forget the night market too. I went to that last week. It was great.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
good.
which market? I missed that. Which market?
It was a night market. It was Apex Night Market. It was the first one. It's second Thursday of the month from now through November.
Yep. So that's basically, it's similar to the farmers market, but it's not just food focused. It's more, arts and crafts and other types of vendors like that, and some food trucks. And so it's held in the parking lots behind the Ickley Cultural Arts Center. There's that big gravel lot that's kind of back there, and they kind of take that over and put a lot of vendors in there. So yeah, that was definitely some life is coming back to festivals and events here, and so we'll keep building upon that for sure. So wonderful. Anything else on Pollinator Week neighborhood program? Before we move on to really the next thing I'd like to kind of talk about is perhaps electing a chair for this great committee that we have. I mean, I don't mind. I'm not really a chair. As a staff person, I'm a non-voting, just kind of leading it. But it'd be wonderful if we had a chair that kind of guide us and lead the meetings and serve in that role. And I would work obviously closely, and we build agendas together. But since the Citizen Advisory Committee, it should be kind of a citizen chair more than. So I've talked to Caitlin this afternoon, and she's willing to serve in that role. So if we'd have a motion from you guys, if that's something you agree, we can talk about it.
I motion to elect Caitlin chair of the Bee Committee.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, Caitlin, thank you for stepping up and helping that. That'll be a
Yay.
great service,
Thank
yes.
you. Hope I
All right.
can pull it off.
Put it on your resume. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Well, then with that, we'll just kind of schedule our next meeting. I think we're going to, since April is going to be more kind of hands-on on-site, I'm thinking we can just wait until May. May 12th would be the kind of the same kind of week that we've been doing for our next meeting. So would May 12th, 6 p.m. you guys okay with skipping to April, and we'll kind of do some hands-on. We'll be in communications through the OneDrive and kind of working on these projects ongoing, and then we'll do, start getting in the garden, like I said. But for our next official meeting, May 12th, does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
Right, and then Caitlin and I will work on agenda items. So shoot us any ideas. A lot of the stuff will be similar things we've been talking about. We'll just kind of continue them and keep that progress moving on those events. So May 12th it is. On that date, on the morning of May 12th, I think I sent Megan, and I might have sent a link to you guys, but the Xerces Society is doing an integrated pest management workshop, which it ties in perfectly to some of the things we're going to do. It's free. I think it's like at 9:30 in the morning, like a Zoom workshop. So I'll send that a reminder and a link to that if you want to join it, but I plan to be there. I think Megan wants to do that as well. So, because that's definitely something the town's looking into, and I'm trying to figure out what we do as a town and who I need to talk to in public works, in parks and rec, and what kind of practices are we doing to protect pollinators. So these are all things are just beginning and trying to figure out what the town's doing, because we should lead by example for sure. So but we a lot of this is new, so workshops like this will help us kind of get informed in how to do that. All right, well, anything else before we adjourn? All right, well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second, and
I'll second.
there you go. Well, wonderful. We are adjourned, so thank you so much, and be safe tomorrow, and be safe for sure with those weather. If you got hives, I got to go home tonight and strap mine down really tight, because we got some severe weather coming our way. So just make sure you take care of those bees. Yeah.
Appreciate it, everybody. Have a good night.
Be
Stay
safe.
Take care.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks.